evening when I wanted fish and chips, I went to my dad and my brother and I told them a little lie. The lie was about strip club. I said I was going to go to a strip club and I told them a bit about my friends who were going to come with me and a rough location of where I'm going to go. When asked why I lied about it, I told them that it was because I wanted to know the sensation of lying. I hadn't lied in so long. I really wanted to feel it again. But actually, the real reason why I lied was exactly that. Yes, I am not a liar because I don't like misunderstandings in real life. I find them silly. I don't like them. They're uncomfortable, right? Nobody enjoys them. And in fiction, nobody likes it either. It adds tension to a story. It adds certain things, but on the whole, most people don't seem to enjoy misunderstandings. But I want to know why, because really, they shouldn't affect the story much. They shouldn't change things. They shouldn't be so bothersome. They should have as many advantages as they do disadvantages. So I looked into what the trope is, what are misunderstandings in a story, where misunderstandings happen, and who's writing misunderstandings. I also wanted to know the disadvantages, what the people not like about misunderstandings in their stories. And I also wanted to know the positive things about misunderstandings could be fun. Why lie? Why get confused? Why write characters to misinterpret what each other's are saying? Why have that parallel kind of thing? Well, that's what I wanted to look into, and that is what I looked into. Yes, but before we get into that, check out Ebony's Army. Thank you. Check it out. Thank you. Did I just try to wake? Check it out. Definitions wise, this is going to be very easy because misunderstandings is already a word, and so Oxford Dictionary defines misunderstandings to be a failure to understand something correctly, which is a nice little definition. But for a story, I mean, come on, we're gonna need more than that, right? And so I looked into Book Riot, which is the largest independent editorial book site in North America, apparently. I mean, Americans, do you agree? I don't know. Do you agree? Let me know. And Book Riot defines misunderstandings to be when characters interact with each other in some way but miss something which would very likely and often very easily solve whatever misunderstanding they are now facing. That's what Book Riot defines a misunderstanding to be. And then I thought, it's good, you're understanding the interaction with the characters, but I wanted to know a bit more. I wanted to see if there was anything else that might be missing from that definition. And so I went to Urban Dictionary. Hail Mary. I always go to Urban Dictionary if I need a little pick-me-up. Urban Dictionary's understanding of a misunderstanding was more attributed to romantic relationships, which I think is very useful because a lot of the time these understandably annoying misunderstandings happen in a romantic setting or romantic story. And so they said that a misunderstanding is when two people try pursuing a relationship and run into a road bump where one knows what's going on and the other is confused and could jump to conclusions. A lot of relationships end like this, sadly. That's what Urban Dictionary had to say. If you know me, you know I need to try and, I need to flex, right? I need to show you I'm smarter than the average person by showcasing my understanding of psychology, right? My understanding of psychology, my degree allows me to depict and look at psychological studies and report them in an easy manner without panicking, without crying, without breaking down, So that's what I've done today. I wanted to touch on some psychology, and this study actually kind of helped with defining misunderstandings as a trope. So Berner in 2023 wrote a psychology paper about statistics that suggested misunderstandings are based off of a faulty conception of concepts and flawed logical assumptions. So I took the faulty elements, I took the romantic elements and other things and added that to my definition. So my definition was basically the misunderstandings trope is when characters fail to understand an interaction, situation, or simple words, often relating to their relationship, which leads them to develop flawed assumptions that slow or regress the plot. That's kind of what I thought a misunderstanding should be defined as. Alright? You got it? Cool? Yeah? So a primary example of this in anime is kimi todoke. I mean, all their misunderstandings of not understanding that they liked each other or that they even appreciated each other or wanted to spend time with each other slowed and regressed the plot. even though it was understandable, a lot of people were annoyed by that. Another example is a webcomic example, and it's called Father I Don't Want to Marry. Apparently, there's something in this that is traumatic in the misunderstanding that happens, because I cannot come up with a webtoon that does this myself. Apparently, I don't know, like I feel like there must be something, but nothing came to mind, so I resorted to stealing comments and ideas. A literature example is a similar thing, Hamlet. Anyone who's read Hamlet could tell me how this misunderstanding happened. I don't know. I never watched the movies, never saw them, never read the book. I don't know, but apparently Hamlet, there was a misunderstanding. So yeah. And lastly, because when I'm put in a corner, all I think about is DC recently. Jeez, you know, Batman. Everyone misunderstands Batman's intentions and things. Oh my god, I came up with a great example. Anyone who's read Bruce Wayne Murderer, if you've read Bruce Wayne Murderer, you know the misunderstanding of him being a murderer, I won't get into details to not spoil it, regresses the plot and how the family deal with the case. So where is a realistic situation that you will see the misunderstandings trope? You know, where will you see a situation where people misunderstand a simple interaction or even simple words, and that regresses and changes your relationship? Where will you see that? Well, is at work when Jenny says she did not eat your digestives, but it was in fact Kenny who ate your digestives, but you actually find out that it was actually Jenny who ate your digestives and she was lying about Kenny, but then you don't talk to Kenny for a while and you stop being work friends with Kenny. That is a realistic misunderstanding. That did not happen to me at all whatsoever, alright? It also happens a lot in romance stories. You know, we have the interrupted conversations, we have the interrupted confessions, you know, and we have the rumors that spread across the school or the workplace or the college and uni, because that's usually where I see romances being set. It also happens in romance side plots. So even if the main story is like a fantasy or something, it might also happen if you have a subplot, which is a romance, which is like two characters, you know, getting on, and they still have the misunderstandings, but it's not as forefront and maybe not as annoying, but still prevalent in the story. It also happens with redeemed villains or villains who are being redeemed and then making mistakes. I can't think of a better example right now. Let's say it's been 0 days. Okay, let's say let's say you think that Damian Wayne, Jason Todd, Sinestro, any villain who is in some timeline trying to be redeemed, right? You think they kill someone, but they didn't actually kill someone. And then it's the whole plot is to add some kind of tension and to unravel the redemption and to step back and to make you lose faith in them once again. And it's really painful because you took the time to trust them again, but they've broken your trust. But that didn't actually happen because they didn't actually kill anybody. Those kind of misunderstandings I find are quite common as well when writers are trying to add tension to a shaky relationship. I find they do that. Another situation is where they have a stable relationship. So if two characters or more have a very stable relationship, a very close-knit relationship, then an outsider would usually come in and try to mess that up by like planting some kind of spice. So for instance, Young Justice, you know, this is already a DC video, forget it, okay, give up. They weren't that close in season 1, so I would say actually season 2, when there was somebody who betrayed them, who was a double spy, but maybe triple spy, but maybe not, you know, that kind of character that was in season 2, that was a way of them breaking the close-knit relationship and hurting the close relationship by adding loads of misunderstandings. It was an interesting way of doing that trope. And yeah, so who writes this kind of things, or who writes misunderstandings in shows and series and books and comics and whatever? Well, the average writer, but also somebody who likes angst but doesn't want too much angst. So, you know, you have light angst and you have heavy angst, but somebody who wants just angst without either side writes this kind of misunderstanding tropes, I believe. That's my theory. It's as lukewarm as a plot device as you could ever get. So let's talk about the disadvantages first, because, you know, most people think that the misunderstandings trope is pretty bad. At least that's what I saw online. Maybe you think differently, but a lot of people do still agree that it's not good in many situations. And so I wanted to go into what makes it bad. And what makes it bad is this. So what are the disadvantages of having this trope in a story? Well, the first disadvantage is misunderstandings can often be unrealistic in length and unrealistic in the fact that there is no confrontation happening between these characters. So for instance, a nice manhwa example is Love Operation. You know, the second male lead has absolutely no chance in hell, zero chance to get with the female lead, because it is not a love triangle. It is a romance with a third party outside just staring, just like, hey, could I get in? And nobody's answering the door. That's what love Operation is, right? And it's taking him absolutely ages for him to even figure it out or to be confronted about it or anything. They're just dragging it on. And it's a misunderstanding that I cannot stand. I cannot stand it. And so it honestly kind of made me drop it for a bit. And like, I'm not even reading. I'm just skipping every part with him in it. And even, I don't even care about the plot either. The plot is just like, ugh. It's just the romance that I like. I like the connection they have, but everything else can just suck it. Because like, what? Like, nobody's answering the door. Why are you still knocking? Another reason why misunderstandings trope isn't really enjoyed in many stories or isn't really liked as a whole is because it often is a precursor to more misunderstandings. So for example, here's an anime example, Kimi ni Todoke. I think I already mentioned it, but Kimi ni Todoke is the misunderstandings anime. Misunderstandings, a romance anime. That is literally the title of Kimi ni Todoke in English. That is the translation. I know Google may say something else. Google 翻訳は違う。間違えた。Honestly, Kimi ni Todoke, I even came up with a little rhyme. I even came up with a little poem about how Kimi ni Todoke, I should have realized from the jump that it was a precursor to misunderstandings, but I didn't. So I hope you enjoy my poem. Kimi ni Todoke. Once a romantic misunderstanding was foretold, I should have realized that the future of the story would be spoiled. Yet I kept watching until everything uncoiled, and I sighed in frustration and anger that I had been trolled. And a last reason of why misunderstandings is deemed as a bad trope and that nobody likes it when it appears is that it's annoying. It's an annoying trope. Apparently Kaguya-sama Love is War is a great example of this. I haven't seen much of Kaguya-sama Love is War, but I imagine that it would be annoying if every time a character tried to say I love you that you would have to enlist. Or is that not how the story goes? So now that we know the negatives, now that we know the disadvantages of the misunderstandings trope that I'm sure a lot of people already knew, let's look at the advantages of the trope, because you know, no trope is bad. That's the playlist. No bad tropes. So we're going to talk about what advantages come when you have this trope in your story. Well, the first advantage is as follows. The misunderstanding trope can be comedic. This is probably the first time I think ever I am referencing a K-drama. Wow! If you've watched K-dramas, then you're going to be excited and happy. You probably have heard of this one. If you haven't, you should watch it. I recommend it. It's not Squid Game, obviously. To all people who only know K-dramas from Squid Game, no, it is My Love from a Star. It's a classic. I'm not sure if everybody has seen it, but it's really good and I enjoy it. It was recommended to me, I think it was. I don't know. I found it as well. I don't know. There was a lovely comedic part of this show that is really early on. The elevator scene where she didn't realize his profession and the fact that he's a literal alien, and the misunderstanding that I had as I didn't realize that nobody would know this drama except from the Korea interested, which is me, you know, the Korea interested, and the Korea obsessed. I'm not naming names. You know who you are. Yeah, nobody else knows this drama. That's why this drama and having misunderstandings produces comedic results. Yes. Another advantage of having misunderstandings in your story is that it is actually realistic sometimes. You know, sometimes people just have poor communication and they don't want to follow things up. They don't want to talk about it. They don't have the opportunity to talk about it. Maybe you actually just too awkward to talk about it. People don't like confrontation. There's many reasons why a misunderstanding actually does happen in real life. And if a story executes that well, then actually this is a good part of the trope. It's a good thing to have that in. It adds realism to the story. For example, in She's My Type, where Haedam and Gaehyun think they like the same guy, they aren't able to resolve straight away that they don't like the same guy, because why the would you? Why would you do that in real life? They weren't friends. How would they know? Why would they ever talk to each other and try to reaffirm whether they like the same guy? It's not common, and it's poor communication that would happen in real life. Because, you know, it's not like people have a group chat for every single person and you can only be in that group chat if you actually like that person, even though that is an amazing story idea. What the hell? That's a great idea. I'm taking that now. And the last advantage of having misunderstandings trope in your story is that it adds tension. It adds a good amount of tension to the story. So an example is Nagatoro. Oh, don't touch me, don't torment me, Nagatoro. Please don't torment me, Nagatoro. Something like that, right? Nagatoro. And that's an anime and a manga. And it's a great thing. You know, it's fun to watch. I mean, I really... It's gonna sound so fake. I watch it for the romance, and I'm not even joking. Like, I skip if it gets too intense, I might even skip some of the teasing. Like, I can't stand it that much. Like, it's not really that nice to me. But I really like their relationship and their romance. I think it's really nice. And like, especially second season, you actually get more of an emphasis on the romance, and it's great. It's really fun. Yeah. When I'm talking about adding tension, I'm not talking about how tense we are, wondering if Senpai is going to finally croak under the pressure at every frame of the show. I'm talking about the second season and the romance that is happening, and, you know, the tension and the misunderstandings and all that. That's the tension I'm talking about. Bro, Senpai gonna be in A&E. He gonna be in rehab, dude. Like, when I was 15. I was abused. That's not funny. Yes, it's easy to hate the misunderstanding trope, especially the unrealistically long sides of it, and, you know, how it's used as a cheap plot device sometimes. However, there are reasons to love it, you know, all these reasons that I mentioned in this video. And that's the important thing. If you want to do one thing, then subscribe. I recommend most of the stories I mentioned, you know, the ones that I actually said good things about and that I knew about. And I recommend you also checking out the No Bad Tropes playlist as well. But I did say if you want to do one thing, then subscribe. So I guess this confliction, you know, these misunderstandings, maybe you're thinking, oh, do I subscribe, or do I check out the playlist, or do I listen, like, do I go to the manhwas? And my answer is 안녕, Janet. Oh, and check out ABENI'S Army. Yeah, check out ABENI'S Army. 너무 사랑해. I need to stop doing that. It's making me laugh.